What's up, everybody? Brothers, sisters, psychonauts, and seekers of truth. It is Ananka, and welcome to my bazaar. Today, I have a Methaqualone, or otherwise known as Quaalude, trip report for you. The title of this trip report is A Pleasant Surprise. Overall lovely compound. And was submitted to Erowid in 2021 by the user Fishy. With all that being said, let our story begin. A pleasant surprise and glowing experience. This experience took place in my residence, where I was undisturbed. To preface, I have been searching for methaqualone for quite some time, though like many newer researchers, I assumed I would never have the opportunity to try it given its production history. These fears were lifted when I reached back out to an old source, an individual renowned for his knowledge and applications of organic chemistry. He offered a sample of his fresh methaqualone synthesis, which I accepted and asked if I could purchase a greater quantity, to which he agreed. The report I have detailed below was a live report, where the notes collected were taken while I was under the influence of the compound via bioassay. Any nervousness about the experience after dosing, not unusual for me, disappears within 10 minutes, due to what I suspect is the very initial activation and binding of the molecule to my affected receptors. The methaqualone comes as a flour white powder, mostly granulated with the occasional chunk. It does not have the fluffiest texture, denser than a 2CX salt, but not as dense as a tryptamine salt or aryl cyclohexamine. I would compare its consistency to that of cornstarch. T-5. At approximately 2150 UTC, I weigh out 293 milligrams of the methaqualone hydrochloride and pack it into gelatin capsules. T plus 0. At 2155 UTC, I consume the capsules orally, washing them down with a swig of Coke, consuming maybe a few milligrams of caffeine in the process. Oops. For now, I settle into my chair and put on the final season of Breaking Bad as I await the come-up. 20 minutes in, a small but noticeable change in my headspace is noticed. It feels as if I am more distant from my reality, in a sense not dissimilar to the psychedelic state of mind. Upon standing, my balance isn't impaired. However, my coordination is somewhat. I drop my keys when trying to place them on the shelf, and my body overall feels a bit more loose in a manner that I can only describe as wiggly. 25 minutes in, definitely feeling something now. A sedative feeling is slowly coming on and increasing in strength. The body load has the weight of an opiate high, with the inhibition of a benzodiazepine. It is exactly as I have had it described to me from my readings online. A euphoric feeling encompasses my body and mind within a minute of typing the previous sentence. I can feel the level of inhibition will make it difficult to focus and record notes for this report, but I will be trying my best in the name of science. As I am typing this, the body load and headspace is growing very notably stronger, almost with each passing second. Achieving any sort of functional motor control is becoming difficult. This will be an extremely interesting experience. The feeling in my hands is akin to a numbing of sorts, something I would expect with ketamine administration. My palms are also beginning to sweat. It is becoming increasingly apparent that typing will be a bit of a challenge, and I resolve to return to edit the typos made at a later date. A pins and needles sensation is noted in my hands, but not my legs or feet. Focusing on writing this report is getting to a level of unattainability. And shit, we are only 30 minutes past dosing. I'm curious to see where this goes. Every single minute, the intensity gradually increases. 30 minutes in, bruxism is noted. I feel an urge to keep my jaw somewhat clenched. I am getting a bit shaky, but expect to be able to complete the report. I note I am feeling hungry, having skipped dinner to snack on chocolate-covered almonds, and resolve to consume a small portion of leftover pad thai. As others have commented on the substance, the feeling is rather antisocial, almost as if I'd rather bask in the euphoric, blissful state rather than converse with my research associate. 35 minutes in, a vibrational state similar to the effects of ketamine is noted. I am so detached from my reality that to leave my apartment is an absolute no-go. Thankfully, I have everything I could want. Nitrous oxide, cannabis, nicotine, and alcohol are handy, should I desire some. I suspect after the peak of the substance, I will give a shot with mixing these compounds with the methaqualone. 40 minutes in, I have decided I would like to add some cannabis to this experience. For tonight, I am choosing between the lab-tested homegrown of a friend, 15.25% total cannabinoids, strain, crystal white, and autoflower, or some tested pure haze purchased from an out-of-state dispensary, tested as 24.5% THC, though that may be 24.5% total cannabinoids. I can't recall, and I have peeled the label off, unfortunately. I will prefer the pure haze, I think, to add some sativa stimulation to this sedative experience. In any case, the haze tastes much better than the crystal white, given the professional growing environment and all. 55 minutes in, I decided to mix the remainder of the crystal white I already have ground, and add the rest of my pure haze. I am consuming my marijuana this evening through a desktop vaporizing device to ensure maximum flavor can be experienced. 60 minutes in, I have contracted the hiccups, but they depart pretty quickly. The intensity feels like it is somewhat peaked, and I don't imagine it will grow much stronger. Of course, I will have to wait and see about that, being that this is only 1 hour into the experience. I am having second thoughts regarding the addition of cannabis to the experience, but because the intensity is not increasing, I am feeling comfortable with the idea of this addition. So far, the experience is feeling incredibly clean, and I do not doubt the purity of the sample as roughly as the chemist described, my direct source. And I estimate the purity of the methaqualone base making up the methaqualone hydrochloride is of a purity not less than 95%. I am growing more convinced that I have peaked, and that things will be a gradual decline from here. An enjoyable compound for sure, much more than benzos or opiates. But I absolutely see why repeated use of this compound could be problematic for some, if not most, users. Beyond the euphoria, the chemical is rather devoid of noteworthiness, lacking any particular depth to the experience which I generally crave from my experience with assorted psychedelics and dissociatives. I begin my inhalation of vaporized cannabis and prepare to report on the influence contributed to the experience by the cannabis. 75 minutes in, a noticeable buzzing feeling is introduced to my body load and headspace due to the addition of the cannabis. It is decently stimulating when compared to how sedated I was feeling prior. My research associate notes the experience is similar to a more sedative, body load-wise, MDMA experience, and I can't help but agree. 90 minutes in, consumed considerable cannabis and nicotine, has kicked up things a notch in terms of strength. Vibrating, ringing feeling pulsing through body. Heart is racing, can't get it to slow down. Incredibly difficult to take notes. From this point on, I was unable to record any notes. The following notes are my recollection of the rest of the experience, and were recorded roughly 14 hours after dosing, recorded upon waking up the morning after. T plus about 120 minutes in. My heart is still racing from the cannabis and nicotine. It is uncomfortable, but not the end of the world. The cannabis has particularly strengthened the headspace, and it feels like I have dosed a fully fledged psychedelic, maybe 20 milligrams or so of 2CB. It is very enjoyable. Because my heart continues to race, not as enjoyable, I decided to lay down on my bed. I am lying for a while when I get a feeling in my gut that I may have to vomit. I remind myself the urge to vomit in this moment is simply a mind over matter battle, and that if I continue to remain calm, I will have no need to relieve myself. So I continue to lie down and begin some simple breathing techniques which aim to reduce my heart rate. They slowly but surely work. At a certain point, the sedation is so strong that I simply must close my eyes, for I can no longer keep them open and my mind alert. 150 minutes in, I open my eyes and notice my heart rate has returned back to normal. The overall intensity has subsided somewhat, maybe by 10 to 15%. Enough to notice anyhow. Time is extremely dilated, and I have no idea how long I've been laying down for. My associate has switched from finishing Breaking Bad to another show, so I estimate it has been 30 to 45 minutes since I laid down. I consider adding more cannabis once more, but make a last decision not to. 165 minutes in, after speaking with my associate some more, the sedation creeps back in, and I am feeling rather couch-locked. I resolve to get under the covers of my bed to stay cozy. I am here for maybe 5 or 10 minutes before my eyes begin slowly closing again. I realize at this point I am quite tired, having gotten less than 4 hours of sleep the day before. It is now very early in the morning on Friday. 180 minutes in. My eyes must have slipped closed without my noticing it, and I open them back up to find my associate watching me. He lets me know I look quite tired and that he will be returning to his residence. A short walk, no driving under any circumstances, so that I can get to bed. I fall asleep rather quickly at what I estimate is about 3 hours after dosing. T plus 16.5 hours. My sleep is restful, and I wake up some 7.5 hours later, still feeling a bit drowsy. I lie back down and catch another 3 hours of sleep, and upon wake up I am feeling pretty good. About 16.5 hours from dosing, I record the rest of my notes in this report to complete it. There is not any noticeable residual disinhibition, but a certain feeling is reminiscent in my body that I always struggle to describe. The feeling is small, and simply is my body's reminder to me that I was intoxicated yesterday. There is no distinguishing feature to this feeling. Rather, it is a generic feeling I notice in my body the morning after using any of the following compounds: ketamine, psychedelics, MDMA on occasion, and now methaqualone. I cannot think of anything I have left to report about the experience, and I am marking this report as completed. I will allow the experience to marinate before I reread the report and record my conclusions. Noteworthy effects, extreme sedation, induced psychedelic-like headspace, strong euphoria, and very fast peak, around 30 minutes from first effects. Conclusion: incredible compound. I can absolutely see why this is a winner and why this medication has been discontinued near worldwide. The experience was unique among the other sedatives I have tried. I have been told most, if not all, the other compounds in this family are pretty shit. Not to mention many very dangerously reduce the seizure threshold. Nitromethaqualone, methylmethaqualone, SL-164 are just some examples. The chemist who produced this sample informed me they quite enjoy mixing it with MDMA, which I plan to experiment with at some point. I did not feel drowsy for the first 4 hours, and at that point I was already so tired from a long day that falling asleep was quite easy. There was no noticeable effect for the first 25 minutes, at which point a strong high came on, feeling to grow and intensively, notably with every passing minute. Peak effects were felt around 60 minutes past dosing. Overall, lovely compound. Would give it a 9 out of 10, and that would be a 10 out of 10 if the peak lasted longer. Alright, everybody. That is the end of our story. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Share with us your methaqualone experiences down in the comments below. Check out the other videos and playlists on my channel. And I will see you in the next one, fam. Deuces.